Hey gamers, Blindy here. It's April 2024 and I recently finished playing Resident Evil HD Remake. This game is a classic and it is one for a reason. It's challenging, it's moody, it's intense. We'll get to my review of the game in just a minute, but stick around and we'll go over some info about the game first. Alright, so please note that this is the HD remaster of the original Resident Evil. Now, the original Resident Evil was released on March 22nd, 1996 on the original PlayStation. On March 22nd, 2002, a remake was released for the GameCube. It updated the graphics, revamped some of the puzzles, added some gameplay mechanics, and it changed up some of the script. Things like the Jill sandwich was changed, etc.
Jill, you in there?
Barry? Get me out of here! The door's jammed!
Stand back! Grab my hand!
Barry.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Really? Thanks.
And almost 20 years after the original game was released, on January 19th, 2015, an HD version of that GameCube remake was released, which updated the graphics. And that's a game that I played and what you'll see in the Steam marketplace. This game was developed by Capcom, and you know them, you love them. They release games like Dragon's Dogma, which recently released the sequel to their original game, Monster Hunter series, the Street Fighter series, Mega Man series, etc. If you're looking to buy this game, this remake is available on PC. I got it through Steam. You can find it on the PS3 and PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and the Switch. So this game is fairly cheap if you're looking to pick it up. It's normally $20 Canadian, but it's frequently on sale at 75% off. So you're looking about $5 Canadian. Now, this is my first time playing it, and apparently I played it on the easy difficulty. I thought it was normal, but whatever. Maybe one of these days I'll go back again and try it at a harder difficulty. I had a good time with it though. And as far as storage space to install this game, you need about 17 or so gigs. On the Steam Deck, which is where I played it, it is a verified game. I was able to get an hour and a half to 2 hours per charge whenever I played it. And that's on the original LCD version of the Steam Deck. So the approval ratings for the HD version of this game, we're looking about low 80s on Metacritic across all platforms. And on Steam, right now it's sitting at about 91% approval, about 17,000 reviews. ESRB has this game as an M due to violence, blood and gore, and language. As far as how long to beat this game, you're looking at about 11 hours. For me, it was just under 11 hours according to the game file. Alright, so that being said, I will do my best not to show any spoilers for the game. I'm going to show some gameplay, some mechanics, maybe some of the cutscenes, but I will do my best not to show anything too important. So, just consider this is your warning. For the story, you're out in the field doing some kind of operative. You start getting chased by these dogs, and you can tell they're not normal dogs. So, you and your team run away, and you flee into this mansion that you find. Now, unfortunately, you can't escape from the mansion, because if you try to go out the front door, you're going to encounter those dogs, and you'll certainly get mauled to death. So then you start wandering around the house, seeing what's going on, and you find things like human and animal experimentation, creatures that are being modified, and various things like that. Over the course of the time that you're in the house, you find that people have died within it. They've been trapped, they've been keeping notes, they've been part of the experimentation that is obviously happening there. And given enough time as you're walking around and solving different clues, You're able to destroy all the threats within the house and escape. Now, if I was going to create a genre to put this game in, I would probably put it something like a fixed camera puzzle mystery horror game, if that makes any sense to you. So the cameras are fixed in this game. It's almost like you're watching a movie instead of being an active character in the movie. And I think because of that, it changes the experience. Usually you play in first person or even over the shoulder third person, but it's not very often that you have a camera that is anchored in one part of the room and you're moving the character around regardless of where the camera is pointing. So with the HD remake, there are different controls as well. The original tank controls meant that you had to press forward to move your person forward, and then you would pivot left or right if you press the left or right arrows. In this case, they changed it where up is always up regardless of which way you're pointing. So it's a bit more intuitive for most players at this point, but you do have the option to use either control scheme. I use the modern controls. I tried it with the tank controls for a brief while, but I did not like it at all, so I went to the modern controls. So this game is also a shooter. You do have weapons, and you will be shooting various zombie type enemies. And unfortunately, you don't really have much control as far as aiming. So you can point in the direction of where the creature is, but you won't be able to really pinpoint how high or low you're able to aim. Which is unfortunate because one of the ways to dispatch some of those enemies is by getting a headshot on them. And it seems like that's kind of a random thing. I may not know exactly if there is a strategy to it or not. That's just my experience. And this being a Capcom game, I've noticed that they tend to have manuals with them, and this one does. Alright, and a few more thoughts here before we go. One of the things I really liked about this game were the transition scenes. So you're going to go from room to room, and when you go from room to room, you're going to transition into a loading screen, and that loading screen is an image of the door that you're going through, and it opens up. And it's a really simple thing, but I really like it. Alright, so one of the issues that I have with the game is that you are dealing with kind of inventory juggling. So the characters don't have a lot of inventory space. You do have access to item boxes within the safe rooms to dump anything that you don't need, and you'll probably find that you're going to do that fairly often, especially if you don't know where everything's at or where everything needs to go, so you end up just dropping things off into the item box. Maybe the strategy becomes a little bit better when you understand the game a little bit more, where to go, how to do things and such. But until then, you're going to be carrying a lot of things, and you're going to find that you're going to be running out of room quite a bit. Also in this game, there are sharks. It's a bit wild, really, to have sharks in your house. So that's a thing. Overall, I thought the atmosphere was great, though. The colors, the music, the sounds, just everything overall felt really haunting, and I really liked it. They did a great job with it. Also keep in mind that saving can be a little bit of an issue. The way to save in this game, you'll find ink ribbons throughout the house, and you'll find typewriters. You'll use those ink ribbons into the typewriters, but they're only good for 3 uses each. So that means you can only save based on how many ink ribbons you have available to you. Now overall, I think I counted 39. I could be wrong, there might be more. So you have a lot of opportunity to save if you find enough ink ribbons. Through the middle of the game, I had a little bit of trouble finding enough. So I kind of made sure that I extended my gameplay to about an hour or so before saving, which could be kind of frustrating, especially if you die. But that's how I managed it. And then if you're in the higher difficulties, from my understanding, there are fewer ink ribbons as well, so you have to keep that in mind. And when I was playing, I always felt like I had a good time. I never felt like I was wasting my time or anything like that. If I played half an hour and I extended to an hour, that's great. And if it kept going to 2 hours, I was fine with that. I never got stale or bored or anything like that. So overall, I had a decent time playing the game. Alright, so that all being said, I would say that I would definitely recommend this game, especially just to get a feel of the franchise. Now, like I said, this is the first time I played this game. This was the first Resident Evil game that I had ever played. So I'm kind of looking forward to see what those other games are like and how they change the formula to kind of keep up with the times. But I think I would recommend this game, especially if this is your situation where this is your first game in the Resident Evil series. Just kind of get an idea of where everything started, who these characters are, and what's happening overall. And as far as the replayability of the game, there's some replayability, but because we're dealing with a puzzly nature of this game, it's mostly going to be about optimizing your run and surviving. If you're going to crank up the difficulty, then it's just making sure that you're surviving against the enemies and you're managing your ammo properly. You're getting those ink ribbons and saving at optimal times. So that's really about it, I believe. And if I'm going to score this game, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 12. 75%. Overall, I quite liked it. I'm not a huge horror game person, so I liked it, but I didn't love it. Maybe that'll change when I play the other games as well. We'll see how it goes. But overall, I enjoyed the time that I had with it. I'm glad that I did it. I may revisit it again in the future, but I don't know. Alright, and before we go, we'll just give you a little taste of the final boss fight here. So I covered a lot in this game, but I didn't cover everything. So tell me, was I fair? Was I wrong? Let me know in the comments. And before we head out, I'd like to thank all of my patrons. Alright, I'm just kidding, I don't have a Patreon page, but I do have a Discord channel. So if you are at all interested in joining me, I've got nobody in there right now, so it'd just be the two of us. We could chat about anything, really. Alright, thank you very much for joining me today, because without you, I'm just a weirdo talking into a microphone. So please like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you love it, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Have a great day. Take care.